Hey, what's up you guys, it's Ruthie and welcome back to my channel. In today's video we're going to go into part 3 of chapter 8 of the story of Mary, and the book that we're reading is The Women of the Bible Speak by Shannon Bream. So let's get right into this video. Sorry, it's been a doozy of a morning already. This video will contain me talking about the Bible and topics of the Bible. If you do not wish to continue, please click off the video now. You have been warned. And so began the ministry. The world would lead her son straight to the cross. She must have known by then that sorrow awaited him once his journey began in earnest, but she didn't try to shield him. The fear we saw in Mary when Jesus was young had grown into quiet confidence. She knew that he was capable of more. He took the next step in his ministry that day and came one step closer to the brutal death that would pave the way for the lost world's salvation. Mary, his own mother, was there at the foot of the cross as he died. To even try to imagine her grief is too much for most of us to bear. Her precious son, hurdled by angels, celebrated by prophets, and lauded as a brilliant scholar, died a public death with her as a witness. Was there some part of her that wondered if God's plan had gone terribly wrong? Had she misunderstood the destiny she thought she had mapped out for her son? In his great compassion, in the midst of his agony, Jesus looked directly at her. When Jesus saw his mother there and the disciple whom he loved standing nearby, he said to her, "Woman, here is your son," and to the disciple, "Here is your mother." From that time on, the disciple took her into his home. John 19:26-27. Even at this moment of greatest anguish, Jesus was thinking about his earthly mother, the woman who had found the courage to accept her heavenly assignment only to watch it unfold in what appeared by all human standards to be a tragedy. All too often Christians fall into the mistake of thinking that our journey will always be filled with delight. Mary knew better. The grief and sorrow and pain we experience in life are real, and we aren't called to ignore or suppress them. Mary's life, grounded in prayer and patience, showed the early Christians that only road to lasting joy was often through sorrow and prayerful waiting for God. There was no other road to the resurrection but through the cross, and Mary's life leads us directly there. Of all the resurrection experiences that Scripture records for us, Jesus' meeting with his mother is not one of them. What Mary and Jesus said to each other we cannot know, but it must have been filled with a deep joy that transcends temporarily circumstances. We can imagine that Mary, the Mary whose song of praise announced the God who changed everything by sending his son to walk among us, may have plenty of poetry to pour out upon seeing Jesus resurrected. The Bible does not record any words of Mary and the resurrection or even after the ascension, but there she remains at the heart of the early church, her prayer sustaining the apostles. As we are each equipped differently, so was Mary. Her way was unlike the public preaching of Peter or the bold proclamation of Mary Magdalene. Hers was a quieter way, but a deeply joyful one, informed by both crushing misery and unspeakable bliss. And as with the other women we meet in this book, each is assigned a critical role to the story of salvation. As we now take up the challenge to share the gospel, may we each, like Mary, use our own gifts to declare his glory. That is the end of this story in chapter 8. I will see you guys in the next video for the next story in chapter 8. Bye.